here's something to take before we get into the ranking, because we're getting close to that point. Something to take into consideration with this particular England team. So teams at a World Cup to go unbeaten, as England did in 1982, is not massively unusual. There's a bunch of winners that have done it, have gone through the whole of the tournament and have lost a game. But let's forget about the winners. And there's a bunch of teams that have gone to the latter stages. They've come out the group stage and they've gone to the latter stages, but then they've drawn a football match but lost it on penalty kick. So let's just say that penalty kicks equals a loss, which is how FIFA decides their football tournaments. So a penalty kick loss is a loss in the official tournament. There are only 5 teams in the history of the World Cup that have ever gone unbeaten without being knocked out on penalty kicks. Scotland were the first and the only unbeaten team in 1974, but didn't qualify out of the group stage with that incredible Zaire team, as we know, Graham.
Mm-hmm.
In this particular version of the World Cup, in Italy's group, Italy the winners, Cameroon, at their first World Cup, drew all 3 games, but didn't qualify for the second group phase, so went out in the original group phase. Belgium in 98 did the same. New Zealand in 2010 did the same. England, 1982, are the only unbeaten team in World Cup history to qualify from a group stage but not go on and win the football tournament.
Okay, no, I'm with that.
That's another stat. Wow, I love that. Sums it up, really.
So we should get to ranking this team as a reminder. And one thing that has changed, Scott, since you were first on a year ago, is that we now actually can remember what category is.
Can you? Brilliant.
It took us a good.
It rolls off the tongue now.
I'd say the first 10. We still didn't know what they were, but they are. It's really straightforward now. Right at the top, all-time greats. Behind that, true greats are middle of the road category. Touch of greatness. Just under the radar of that, we have edge of greatness. Bottom of the parcel, length of greats, and then we have our bonus category, which is not necessarily great. But without them, we would not be where we are today. Jamie, 1982 England. Where are you going with this?
This is such a personal story for me. 82, like all of us on this particular episode, Graham and Scott. This is the first World Cup that we can remember. We're of that age group where this is the first World Cup we can remember at 10 years old, and I was super excited. I do think this is a collection of brilliant players, and I do think the coach, Ron Greenwood, was the right man. I think you could argue what Brian Clough could have done, and he may have taken England to glory, but I think he was a safe pair of hands, and he was an adventurous football manager as well. And I think Scott makes a good point about having Don Howe in his ear. How much did he potentially hold him back? They've gone unbeaten, as we've mentioned, through a bit of a lucky qualification phase. Some of the players are fantastic. You've got players from Liverpool, Aston Villa and Ipswich who at the time were dominating European football in one sense or another. You've got a wonderful, we didn't talk about it, a wonderful Manchester United midfield in Ray Wilkins, Bryan Robson and Steve Coppell that play at the finals in most matches that are contributing very well.
It's amazing we didn't speak about it.
You've got the glorious Trevor Francis, the £1 million man, the first £1 million man, and Paul Mariner, who I think was a fantastic striker. I'm going to kick off and allow my heart to rule my head on this one, and I'm going to start off based on the fact that we put Belgium and Poland, World Cup semi-finalists, losers in the true greats category. I'm going to start by shaking it up and saying England 1982, second tier, true greats.
I love it. Scott, what about you?
Oh my God. How do you follow that? I just sadly, Jamie, the nostalgia for me is amazing, and like you, it's a great personal story. I haven't quite got that missing Bryan Robson 27-second goal to fall back on, which is a bit of a gutter. But seeing the goal was amazing. I remember it like it was yesterday. Having Panini stickers, I remember them like it was yesterday, and I wish I could find my album. I'm so good. So that's just the real gutter. The backstory to this whole tournament, things like the fact that Greenwood resigned on a plane and then had to be told to get back on with it. Come on, we need a manager. Get what you're doing. I mean, that's just brilliant. And the whole the draw, World Cup draw, it's a fabulous story. I love that. However, Jamie, I can't quite bring it to be a true great. I think the potential was there, and it feels like another missed opportunity from an England team. And if from a manager's perspective, I think he needed to be more. If he needed to be stronger in his own, he was a forward-facing, attacking-minded manager, and he got hoodwinked by someone who was defensive, and that cost him. And he needed to be stronger. We had some great players, and like you say, the Keegans, the Brookings, the Hoddles. There was some great creativity in there. Seeing the footage again, though, which I've not seen for decades, and seeing the lack of quality in some of the team is poor. I will go. I've finished rambling. Forgive me. I'm stuck between a touch of greatness and edge of greatness, to be honest with you. I feel like giving them a touch of greatness is probably doing them a bit too much. Maybe I'll go with a touch of greatness. Going 5 games undefeated is something to really be proud of. Giving one goal in 5 games, something to be proud of. But progressively getting worse as the tournament went on was hard to take, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Scott, if anything, I think you're giving them too much credit. Blinkered greats. Clearly, that's where they are. I mean, we are blinkered.
Yeah.
We're blinkered by 1 goal after 25 seconds.
Yeah,
We're
you're
blinkered
right,
by 1
Brian,
goal
you're
after
right. I think
25
you're right.
seconds. A brilliant kit. Even the song is awful when you listen back to it. Never mind, it's a good song, but it's awful. 25 seconds is how long that World Cup lasts. That maybe is a bit. In fairness,
Maybe I'm giving them too much and you're being a bit harsh. Maybe we just stick them in an edge of greatness.
it does feel. I think Blinkered Greats is probably a bit harsh, isn't it? They do well.
Yeah. I think between you and I, Graham, we've sussed that. I think you're right. I think I've given them a little bit too much to go into a touch of greatness, and you've given them a little bit too less. So I think let's shake on edge of greatness. Jamie's talking complete bollocks. As far as true greatness is concerned, it's nowhere near that, Jamie. I'm sorry. Nowhere near. Edge of greatness. Going once.
Definitely. So, Jamie, I'd love to come back to you and offer you a chance to write a reply, but I'm not going to listen to it. It's England, World Cup 1982. Edge of greatness.
Can I just say, right? We've just put England 1982 with Algeria 1982 and with Australia 2006.
Decent side.